Update. My dad is adding something to my food that makes me sick and now wants me to forgive him? Original post. For background, I do not live in a Western country. I, 25 male, began suffering from bloating and vomiting in December 2024. After 4 months of consulting 5 different physicians, including a gastroenterologist, undergoing 3 endoscopies, and doing multiple tests, I was finally diagnosed with Crohn's disease, with a stricture at the junction of the duodenum and jejunum. After the diagnosis, I discovered that I had become intolerant to rice and potatoes. My mom and grandmother understood the disease after I explained it to them, but my dad's opinion was that this was not a disease at all, and that it was all because you ate a lot of lemons 3 years ago. After completing the prescribed medications and avoiding my trigger foods, rice and potatoes, I went into remission. About 2 weeks ago, I had a flare-up that grew worse each day. My mom and I noticed that my dad was adding some kind of powder to the milk before I drank it. The milk's taste and smell didn't change, but we suspected he might also have been adding something to the salt and sugar in the kitchen. To be safe, I stayed at my grandmother's house for a few days. During that time, I had no symptoms, not even pain or bloating. Meanwhile, my mom threw away everything suspicious and bought new supplies. Since then, we have been very careful about locking everything in the kitchen and making sure only we have access. After doing this, I've felt better, but we've seen my dad trying to pry open the things we locked. There are 2 other incidents that bothered me, which may or may not be related. 1. Just 2 days before my flare-up, I told my family that I was accepted for a master's program in Europe. My dad and elder brother were against it. When I insisted I would go, my dad replied, "Something unexpected may happen and your plan may fail." 2. Before this recent flare-up, I once saw my dad doing something in the kitchen, which he never uses. Later, when I sipped the milk, it had a strong taste of rust. I threw it out immediately and didn't think much of it at the time. I originally asked about this on Crohn's disease subreddit about 10 days ago and intended to share here too, but couldn't. Since then, these events have happened. 1. I forgot to lock a jar of cookies in the cabinet, ate them the next day, and got sick again. 2. My mom's coffee has tasted strange multiple times, and she also got sick after drinking it. 3. My dad broke into the locked kitchen cabinet and the refrigerator. 4. We replaced everything and moved the supplies to my grandmother's home. 5. My mom and I now travel to my grandmother's home for every meal. 6. We suspect that my brother knows about this but is choosing to ignore it, since he visited home and avoids eating anything there. We are taking careful steps to confirm all of this. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we are trying to gather solid evidence before making any moves. Please let me know if I'm overthinking or what steps I should take next. I feel unsafe and emotionally drained, but I want to make sure I'm not losing perspective. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. This is actually a criminal issue. I would get a nanny cam to prove it and get his butt arrested. Hell yeah, it is. Sabotage isn't a narc's wheelhouse as it is, but it's not unusual for them to take it to the point of goddamned big boy crime, including murder. If they've got an agenda and slash or they've suffered a narcissistic injury, then they really get into sicko mode. I don't think your dad is just a narc. I think he's a freaking psychopath who is poisoning you and your mom. I do not understand why you and your mother don't leave. Go stay with your grandma permanently. Move away and never look back. He could end up killing you. The line between narcissists and psychopathy is sometimes pretty thin, but deliberately causing physical harm is more psychopathic. A narcissist might feed you a food trigger, but they're more likely trying to prove that it's not actually an issue so they can lord it over you. Your suffering is an indirect result. A psychopath will poison you so you're too ill to leave. The fact that there are multiple poisoning targets is very psychopathic, as the mom is very unlikely to react to something like rice flour or potato starch. You're not overreacting at all. You're doing everything I would do. Thanks for the reassurance. Now for the first update. I got into this Dream Masters program by my own effort in April, despite my health issues. The tuition for this program is actually very minimal, which is rare for international master's programs. I told everyone close to me, starting with my parents, elder brother, friends, close relatives, aunt and uncle, and some professors from my bachelor's program. My dad, 60 male, was initially open to me going there, but changed his decision soon after talking to my brother. He said he likely wouldn't be able to sponsor my master's. So I applied for a scholarship and was following up on it. I also applied for an education loan. My elder brother, 30 male, was totally against it, saying he didn't like it and even said, "Are you going to beg in that country after doing this degree?" My mom and relatives on her side, granny, aunt, uncle, were totally overjoyed and loved that I was able to get into this master's program. My professors and other professionals in my field said it was a great opportunity and that it would benefit my career. I was working through all the administrative processes and stuff by myself until today. My mom and relatives provided moral support during this time and also tried to explain to my dad and brother that this is a good opportunity for me. Yesterday, my brother showed up unannounced at our home and made my mom stay at my granny's home, stating that he and my dad wanted to talk to me alone. They told me I was wrong to inform my close relatives about this master's program and demanded an update on the process so far. I told them everything, including the education loan and scholarship I had applied for. They started nitpicking the course details, trying to find any fault in the program, but everything was well detailed and had no issues. Then they told me whatever I did was useless, and that I had done nothing in these 2 months. They told me I wouldn't realistically be getting the scholarship or the loan, nor did they have any money to spare for my studies. They made it clear that they won't help with any process further, but still want daily updates and need all the emails I receive related to the loan/scholarship/university forwarded to both of them. Instead, they want me to do a master's in the state next cycle/year. They told me to stop living in a dream and accused me of being selfish for not thinking of the family or anyone else. So, am I the a-hole for not giving updates or not letting them interfere in the process after this incident? For context, I was lucky to have completed my bachelor's with almost a full scholarship, with a few minor expenses covered by my dad. I had to move back to my parents' place, and the money I saved up after that was spent very recently on my medical expenses. I made it very clear that I wanted to do my master's in this field. The master's program I got into is not available anywhere nearby, not even in nearby states. Side note, there's also a separate and very serious situation happening at home that made me feel unsafe. I've made a separate post about that, so I won't go into it here. Not the a-hole. Your brother is trying to sabotage you, and he's convinced your father to side with him. They don't have your best interest at heart, for whatever reason. Maybe your brother feels jealous of you. Move forward with your plan. It's your life. Your father and brother have no business knowing what's going on if they're not going to help you. If you keep them informed, they will do everything in their power to prevent you from achieving your dream. In addition, make sure your credit is locked down. I would not put it past them to do something if they have access to it. Not the a-hole. I read your other health issue-related posting, and Jeesly Creasley. Stop talking to them. I can't even believe you let them corner you in the house alone. You're not safe with them. They clearly don't have your best interest in mind. Yeah, I realized that too late, but I had some safety measures in hand during that night. But due to the incident, I was able to properly see that my brother knows about the other issue. Second update 2 months later. Hi everyone, I'm sorry it took me a while to update. I've been reading and replying to some comments, but I wanted to share what's happened since my last posts. What's happened since? My relatives say I should meet him to secure my inheritance, legally mine, because it could help me in the future. My brother is pestering my mom to get me to talk to him. My mom and I relocated without telling my dad or brother. I cut off all calls and messages from them. We couldn't gather much evidence except for a white powder in our plates and a microphone hidden under my mom's bedroom dresser. On the day we moved, I drank water from our house. 2 days later, I had bleeding from my nose and mouth. Blood tests showed that both my mom and I had elevated, almost identical levels of strontium and vanadium. Our family doctors said the bleeding wasn't from those metals, but likely from an anticoagulant toxin, possibly rat poison. I moved between friends' places to recover and took antidote for the anticoagulant poison. Since I moved, my scholarship and education loan were both canceled, and I'm almost certain it was through Dad's influence. My mom gave me her savings, which will nearly cover my degree. My dad has been telling relatives he's sad I'm not talking to him. My aunt and uncle, on my mom's side who know the truth, confronted him. He admitted to poisoning, but claimed it wasn't meant for me. They also asked why he wasn't financing my master's. He said he felt guilty and would fund it if I talked to him. My dad is calling and texting me now. I want to see you or talk one last time to understand my position. If not, you may never see me again. I will never forgive my dad, but the inheritance is significant and could make a huge difference in my life. I've spoken to lawyers and the police. My dad has ways of wriggling out of legal trouble. Do I just talk to him, get my part of the inheritance, and then cut contact? Or is even that too dangerous to risk? Stick with the police. If the poisoning wasn't meant for you, that just means he admitted to trying to murder your mother. Do not engage with your father. I hope you have that in writing or recorded somewhere. It is an admission of guilt. Sadly, they didn't record the conversation. I'm tempted to call and record him admitting all that stuff, but as you put it, I value my mental peace more. That he wants to see you or talk one last time should be interpreted as he wants to see you for your last time on Earth. That inheritance isn't going to matter if you're murdered before you can spend it. The man poisoned you. He wants you gone. I never thought of it like that. I just thought he was emotionally blackmailing me by telling me he's going to die. He'll use that inheritance as a carrot for the rest of your days. Don't be tempted to play according to the rules of a man who tried to poison you. Narcs always play this game with potential future inheritance. They'll never, ever, ever actually give it to you though. They'll make you jump through hoops. They'll hold it over your head. They'll remind you that you aren't allowed to have thoughts and boundaries. Then they die, and you learn they spent it all already, decades ago. Or that they left it all to their favorite homeless rat charity. Anything but being a reasonable, supportive parent. Now for the last update. Just to clarify, I was considering talking to him over a voice call. I was never planning to meet him. Also, I'm in a different state, far away from him. Thanks for all your support and advice. Here's what happened the week following this post. I explained to my close family why I can't and won't ever talk to him in person. The comments were really helpful to get my point across. We all agreed that if he pesters my aunt's family again, they'll call me and I'll just say to his face that he poisoned me. And that's why I won't see him. Homan, Dad, called Brat brother and cried that he was wronged by us. Brother traveled to my home city, argued with my mom, granny, and aunt's family for 2 days. He again made it all about himself, saying, I didn't inform him this and he would have helped me to his best if he'd known. And me and my mom isolated him by not telling him this important incident. If you know, you know, from previous posts. Brat told them that doctors didn't know anything about poisons and were exaggerating it, saying they probably didn't study properly in med school. He also tried to take a look at all the evidence we have, saying he wanted to know. They avoided it, saying everything's with me. Both Homan and Brat tried to give various reasons and find different ways to make me come home. Uncle called me that day, and as planned I told Homan calmly that he poisoned me and cut the call, as I didn't even want to talk to Brat. Homan acted as if nothing had happened before I revealed it, and continued to act innocent. After the call, Homan stated that he won't give me my part of the inheritance as I wrongfully accused him, just as many of you said in the comments. The very next day, Homan changed the locks to the house we lived in before, and my uncle somehow managed to get the clothes and stuff we left there. Homan has told multiple people to convince me to come home. I didn't falter in my resolve. Brat, however, has become silent and returned to his city. I was only able to give a summary of things. I'll post a detailed update after things settle down a bit on my side. Thanks again for all the support. It really helped me stay grounded. Last story. My son called me Dad for the first time yesterday, and no one else will ever know how much that broke me. I, 28 male, have been raising my nephew since he was 3 years old. My sister, his mom, struggled with drug addiction and eventually left him with me one night, saying she'd be back in a few hours. She never came back. At first, I thought she just needed space or time to clear her head, but as days turned into weeks, it became clear she wasn't going to return for him. His father was never in the picture, so it was just me. Child Protective Services eventually got involved. They told me they might have to place him in foster care, but I couldn't let that happen. I already had a tiny apartment and a steady job, so I fought to keep him. I filled out every form, went through every home check, and promised them I would be the one to raise him. They were skeptical at first since I was young and single, but in the end, they allowed me to keep him under my care. That was the hardest, most stressful fight of my life, but also the most important one. He's 7 now, and every day since then has been about making sure he feels safe and loved. I've always made sure he knew I wasn't his dad, just his uncle. I've been honest with him about that from the start because I never want him to feel lied to about where he came from. But I've also always told him that I love him more than anything. Every time he makes a card at school, Father's Day, my birthday, or just because, he writes, "To my uncle," or "You're the best uncle ever." And that has always been enough for me. I never wanted to replace his parents, only to give him the love and stability they couldn't. Yesterday, we were curled up on the couch watching a movie. It was one of those lazy evenings where he had his blanket, his stuffed dinosaur, and a bowl of popcorn that he barely touched before getting sleepy. Halfway through the film, he started nodding off against me. Just as he was drifting to sleep, he whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "Love you, Dad." I froze. He's never called me that before. I didn't correct him, didn't say a word, because I didn't want to wake him up. I just sat there, holding him against my chest, and felt the tears start rolling down my face. I cried quietly so he wouldn't hear, but in that moment, I felt like my heart could burst. I know I'll never really be his dad in the traditional sense. He may grow up one day and want to find his mom or learn about his biological father. I won't stand in his way if he does. But last night, for a few seconds, I felt like I was his whole world, the person he trusts, the one he feels safe enough to call Dad. That's a memory I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. You might not be his biological father, but for all intents and purposes, you are his dad. You're the one taking care of him, loving him, providing for him. You are an amazing dad. Exactly. My cousin raised his own 2 kids alongside the 2 he adopted from his drug addict brother. All 4 of them are treated the same, and all 4 call him Dad, even though the adopted 2 know he's actually their uncle. Blood relations don't matter when it comes to being a good parent. You're his dad no matter what. A wise man once said, "He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy." You might not be one of the 2 people who brought him into the world, but you are raising him, showing him how the world works, giving him love. You are as much a father to him as you can be. His subconscious just told you exactly how he sees you and what you mean to him. Congratulations!